Today's topic of conversation is about wins. Now, I know everyone's typical definition of wins, but I have come up with my own. And for what we're going to apply today, it stands for when intention negates self sabotage. I came up with this because I noticed that a lot of the times that we tend to self sabotage even when it's not in our best interest, right? Um, so, what this means is shifting from a state of automatic self defeating behaviors and habits to active, purposeful mindset habits, which will in turn break that cycle of self sabotage. Um, what this means is making a conscious and deliberate choice, right, to act in alignment with your long term goals and stops the unconscious, fear driven habits that usually determine your progress. And it's something that we all have. Um, so, breaking this down for you all, and I do have my notes, so I will be like looking at my notes throughout this because I want to make sure that you guys get understanding from this and are able to apply it. And y'all don't come for me. I'm not like a professional YouTuber yet. And so just rock with me. Okay. Um, so self sabotage, if you don't know what it is an automatic response because it's a survival mechanism. Your brain basically protects you from what it perceives as a threat. So that could be anything from failure, judgment, and success. These habits look like perfectionism, procrastination, and avoidance. Just three examples. So by applying this wins, right? We blah blah blah. So applying what I've created, which is the word wins, which again stands for when intention negates self sabotage. And so what this does is it's bringing awareness, right, to the automatic patterns. And it's not saying I see you and, you know, pointing the finger. It's saying, I accept that you are there and we can be friends, but I need you to take a step back because I got this, right? It's acknowledging that shadow that's there and understanding that that is a part of you and it's going to be a part of you, but you have to learn how to work with it. So, um, by doing this, you are identifying the fear. And a way to understand this is I'm not procrastinating because I'm lazy. I am procrastinating because I fear failure, or I'm procrastinating because I fear success. Now, when you negate the self sabotage behavior, you are no longer operating on that autopilot. And so it's like, I need you to take a back seat and I'm going to take the wheel now, right? Um, so understanding that there is a way for you to intervene and take control is the first step. The first step is awareness. Once you are aware, then you can turn around and, uh, apply what works for you so that you can change those behaviors. I like to say evolve, but, change for everyone who wouldn't understand that. Um, so another example of this is saying, okay, I'm going to be on this diet, and then if you don't do something that you were supposed to do, or if you eat something that you weren't supposed to eat, you go back to, oh, I failed, I did this, I did that. No, it's okay. You didn't do this one thing. So when you're on this diet, right, and you're like, I have to be perfect at this. I have to do this. I have to do that. And I have to stick to this game plan. And it's like this all or nothing type of thinking that can unintentionally sabotage the whole thing. So if you mess up and you eat something that you weren't supposed to eat, and then you say, all right, well, I'm just going to give up on the whole thing. That's what I'm talking about. Instead of saying I'm going to give up on the whole thing, you say, okay, I'm going to make sure that my next meal is a healthier meal. And so if you operate in that one step at a time mentality, it will be easier for you to get in the continuous habit of eating healthier meals. A lot of times, when it comes to certain things, right? I'm that all or nothing type of person. I have tried I'm just gonna, like with the cigarettes, I'm just gonna wean myself off. That didn't work for me. It was all or nothing. And I know some people who are that all or nothing. And then I know some people who are like all or nothing, but, right? And so that but negates everything that came before it, if that makes sense to you. So, self awareness, and purposeful action can dismantle the unconscious self defeating habits. And knowing that the acronym is WINS. Win, intention negates self sabotage. So your intention can override those self defeating habits. Your intention is not to give up, right? The self sabotaging habit is, I didn't do this perfectly, perfectionism. So I'm going to quit now because I failed. No. The only time that you fail is when you give up. If you give up, then you know, self-sabotage is one. So just keep that in mind. Um, a lot of times we do these things and we don't even know that we're doing them. And this is a lot of times what will stop you from taking the action that you want to take, taking the new job, moving, right? Going back to school and getting that degree, becoming that doctor or becoming that nurse, or, you know, taking steps towards a life that will fulfill you and satisfy you in a way that nothing else will. And it's the fear, which is false evidence appearing real. The fear is preemptive. So, what fear is, right, is you are anticipating a bad thing, a bad outcome of the situation, but it actually hasn't happened yet, right? And if you think this is going to be bad, this is going to be bad, it's going to be bad. It's going to end bad. It's going to be exactly what you thought it was going to be, or at least that is how your brain is going to perceive it, because you've fed it this perpetual, it's going to be bad. I know it's going to be bad. And so then when it ends badly, you're like, I was right. Well, yeah, you basically programmed your brain to believe that you were going to be right in the first place. And so it goes back to that saying, whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right. Now, you can say, okay, whatever outcome comes from this, I will be satisfied, because that will take away the fear of it failing and the fear of success, right? So we live too far into the future, and sometimes we live too far into the past, and we forget to be in the here and the now. Whatever happens here and now is meant to happen. Whatever happened in the past is gone. There's nothing you can do to change it. But what you can do is say, okay, I'm going to do whatever I can here and now so that moving forward, this will be the outcome. A lot of the things that we don't realize is that with mindset, right? Your your brain is like the Wi-Fi router, right? Like we all have Wi-Fi. It's the modem that comes with the house Wi-Fi, right? So think of your brain as that Wi-Fi router, and your emotions are the magnet. So whatever you're thinking about reflects how you feel or will make you feel a certain way. That feeling is what actually gravitates things towards you. So if you are a person who tends to think negatively, all you're going to get is negative things. If you're a person who thinks positively, then you'll be able to see the positive in everything, including when not so good things happen to you. For example, in 2024, I had car issues, right? I had two vehicles, then I sold those two vehicles and I got this other vehicle. I was working so much that the last vehicle, her name was Ruby, was having issues. Ruby was um in the shop for a couple of months. And so because I had already gotten rid of the other two cars, I just went and was like, all right, well, how can I get me a vehicle that will work for me instead of me working for it? And by that, I mean, I could have said, okay, I'm going to take my money and I'm going to go and I'm going to get a car, a rental, right? I personally rent through Enterprise. I love Enterprise. They've always done good by me. And that, and that would have worked out for me, right? But I said, okay, every dollar has a job. And so if I want to make my money work for me, what can I do? Now, at the time, I had signed up for Uber, and Uber had a program where you could rent a car through Uber, and then you would just um, pay the same amount you would if you would go to the rental car place as a deposit, right? Usually it's like $350, $350. Um, and so I took that same $350 and I went to Uber. And with Uber, it was like you pay the first week, and then when you work, you make that money back, and then you can pay for another week. And so I found a way to make my money work for me. So instead of just shelling out 300 and whatever dollars for a week for the rental, I was able to shell out the $350 a week through Uber and still be able to work and make my money back, and then still be able to pay for another week with the profits, right? So that's just like an example of turning the situation around, because I could have been like, oh my God, my car is in the shop and, I've tanked like $3,000 trying to get this car fixed and this is just not working. And I could have let my mind spiral, but I didn't do that. Also, another example, same car situation. My car, the computer ended up just dying in the car. I had put down a deposit. I had been paying a monthly car note. I put about $3,000 in it from the time that from about a month after I got it up until it cranked out on me. And I could have been like, oh my God, I could have used that money towards something else and da 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 da. I didn't do that. I was like, all right, well, I'm just going to keep this Uber car and we're just going to make it work. I'm going to be able to work and save money. And I'm also going to be able to turn around and keep a car where I don't have any maintenance fees. I don't have any extra insurance because the insurance was tied into the weekly payment. I can get back and forth. My kids can get back and forth to school. I can work. Like, I made a mental list of all the ways that it would work for me versus all the things that had gone wrong. It was in the past. There was nothing that I could do about it. The only thing that I could do was be in the here and now and work forward. So those are just examples of ways that the situation may not look good in the moment, but instead of sitting in that and being the the person who is just like, oh my God, you can make it work for you. And every situation is different, right? But that is just one example of how that situation worked well for me because of how I was looking at it on the front end instead of the back end. So knowing that if you switch your mindset, you can change just about anything. And another thing to keep in mind is that you can only control you. So you will have no control over the world and how things happen. You have control over how you take things and how you react to them. Um, and a lot of the times we get caught up in what is out of our control, which contributes to a lot of our anxieties and fears. And knowing that, you know, you have no control over what people do, say, think, or how they act is a very, very, very good reminder so that you understand what you can and cannot control. So, whenever something happens that I am not happy with, right, I make sure to remind myself I had no control over this. I had no say in this. What can I do about it moving forward? How can I look at this as something that is a benefit or something that is going to benefit me, whether it's now or later on down the line? For example, I reached out to someone about a service and I could have been very upset about not hearing back from this person, or been very frustrated, like, why haven't they called me back yet? Or, you know, any of that, right? But I didn't. And I finally actually just got the call, which is awesome, right? But I had to be patient because I had no control over when they got back to me or when they reached out or any of it, right? And so keeping in mind that we only have control over ourselves and what we think, how we feel, and how we see things is something that I definitely had to keep in mind a lot of the times when I was, working through my mindset issues, because we all have things that we need to work through. None of us are squeaky clean. And knowing that I can only control myself has been something that has relieved a lot of stress for me, because I used to be in my head like, what could I have done differently to prevent this outcome? What could I have? But in all actuality, it had nothing to do with me. Like, another example, I had a conversation with someone within the recent weeks, and I could tell that the conversation was going left. And in my head, I was like, okay, what can I do? I can either shut this down, and then I'm the bad guy, right? Which other people's feelings are also not your responsibility. Or I could let this person speak out their thoughts and then go from there. And so I let this person speak out their thoughts, and it was a revelation for me, because then I found out how they really felt. And when I have all the information, I can then make a very, very informed decision. And my decision was, okay, this person may be a good person, but right now they're being toxic. Right now, I don't need to be involved in anything that they have going on because of X, Y, and Z. And so I chose to remove or to prevent the toxicity from affecting me and my everyday life. And so making that decision has brought me a sense of relief in the fact that, and this might sound really mean, but I'm not your therapist. And when you are blaming instead of taking responsibility, you can't get mad when someone calls you out on that. Um, and instead of working on yourself, you want to place blame on others. I'm not with that at all. And so noticing that, okay, if I continue to talk to this person, I'm going to blame my attitude and my aggressions on someone else, when in all actuality, it's my fault for allowing this toxicity to continue. So understanding that our everyday choices do affect what is going on, or what can go on in our lives, is something that I have definitely been more aware of, and understanding that I need to measure out my tea, and knowing where my tea is going, right? So tea is time, energy, and attention. I don't waste my time on things that are not going to advance me. I'm not going to spend my energy on things that are not going to improve me. And I'm definitely not going to give my attention to toxicity. So knowing when to cut something or someone out of your circle is going to be a benefit. Um, And right now, it might be something that you're not strong at because, we have people in our lives that we love. But at the end of the day, I can't help you make the decisions for your life. Um, and I'm not judging you for them. I just know that I don't want to be a part of them. Right. And so that was a decision that I had to make. So knowing your triggers, knowing your self sabotaging habits, and understanding um, your intentions, it's all going to work in your favor when you are doing the work on yourself. So to connect all of this, clock your T, time, energy, and attention, and definitely take note and acknowledge your wins. When intention negates self sabotage, always think of your wins. What am I doing that is going to expose or alleviate, right, the fear that I'm feeling in this moment? Um, or alleviate the habits that I have realized are no longer serving me, right? So again, wins. Win, intention negates self sabotage. And T, time, energy, and attention. So if you have done the work, or if you are doing the work, I think that these two things are going to be very, very helpful for you. Whew, that was a whole spiel, right? Thank you for joining me today.